What's going on, everyone? Welcome to your late night live featuring me, myself, and I, Nicholas McCabe. This is Real Reds Talk, and we have got some real transfer stories for you. We've got some other floating stories about Luke Shaw and the Premier League and a civil war, how that's all kicking off. We've got stuff on Jadon Sancho, on Anthony Martial, on loads of little bits of news. There's not necessarily been like huge breaking news, but there's been little gems here, there, and everywhere. Throughout the day. And for anyone who follows journalism quite closely on Twitter knows that Rob Dawson would have dropped the bag today, having announced that Ole Gunnar Solskjaer apparently was going to be the next manager for Besiktas, I believe, and then it turns out that Van Bronckhorst is managing him, and he had to kind of delete his tweets and stuff. But apart from that, it's been a pretty, I want to say, a quiet day. For Manchester United, it's been a quiet day. We know what it's like. There's always news stories flying about, regardless whatever day it was. But the main story, which I'm really, really interested to get into, is Leny Yoro, the centre-back. That is the guy that I want to discuss. And the report's coming out, and this is from J. Felix Diaz with Marcos. So it's a bit of a... it's not a tier one. It's not a very, very strong source. But you've got to read the news bits and you've got to discuss it, and I like the player, so it's kind of a double whammy for me. So Manchester United have put an offer on the table for around £51 million for Leny Yoro. Now, that sounds fantastic. That sounds like a decent price, a decent offering, especially when you hear reports coming out from France what Lille want. I'm not sure if it was Lille, correct me if I'm wrong, who was having a little bit of financial trouble. It might have been another club in France that I'm kind of tying them with the same brush there, but I'm pretty sure there was something along the lines of that, and that's why the price is what it is. Now, the big main competitor in all of this, of course, as it always is with most like huge young talents, is Real Madrid, because Real Madrid have been interested in him for quite a while. They've had scouts that have watched him, on a numerous occasions. So that is the issue, because if they go in for him. If we're sat there in a meeting as United or, agents or, whoever our chief negotiator is at the moment, I can't remember the name. It was Matt Hargreaves, I think, but it's changed to somebody else. So they go into this deal and they say, what can they offer that Madrid can't in that sense? And it's not like Ineos are going to push the money narrative now because they need to save money. They need to, bring that wage structure down. So in that sense, it's like, if you're Manchester United, what can you offer him? Madrid have just won the Champions League. They've just signed Mbappe. They've got Vinicius. They've got Endrick. They're keeping Modric on for a year, but they've got Tchouameni. They've got Camavinga. They've got young talent throughout the team. And that is an exciting prospect for any young footballer. I mean, Leny Yoro's only 19, I think. Like, he's a young kid. But I think it's interesting because when I did the video on this channel, 5 centre-backs who could potentially replace Rafael Varane, a couple of you would have seen it. He was one of the guys on the list. And the reason for that is whenever you watch him, he is top draw. For a young kid, the amount of composure that he has, he's elite on the ball. He wins his duels. The only time when he's a little bit flaky and the time I would question him is he don't necessarily like chaos. So I don't know if that would bode well for if you're going to play at Man United the way we've been playing this season. So, and that will be a factor in what the player's considering. Obviously, they take into account what money's being offered, what the opportunities are, what they could potentially win, and all that kind of stuff. And Gary Neville always references this with certain players. The majority of players post-Fergie who have arrived at the club have gotten worse. So I think every player looks at that now. I would. Well, who wouldn't? If you're a player and you get offered a certain thing, a move to United, some people aren't in that much of a privileged position where it's like, Madrid or United. Do you know what I mean? But he's got interest from everywhere, and rightfully so, because he looks like a top level centre back. And I remember a similar situation when I think it was Fergie who tried to get Rafael Varane, another young French centre back from Lens, and then Real Madrid went on to sign him, and then the rest is history with that one. So this is why I'm saying it's very significant. And if Ineos want to start, if they want to get in our good books, because at the moment, the way everything's going, it still feels like we're in that kind of we are still in the Glazer era, but we're still kind of, it feels like that, doesn't it, going into this summer? I don't feel like we're prepared for absolutely anything whatsoever. So yeah, Red Hot Dutch saying you'd have to be mad to pay 50 million for that French kid, 20 million max. But you must have not watched much of him. If you know the market nowadays, that's actually cheap for Yoro, I think, in my opinion. Steph saying Leny Yoro will stop development of Willy Camboire. 50 million, a lot for an 18-year-old, is a big put off for me. I get it. I get the price tag is a lot, but that age now, There's a lot of kids going for that. You know, how much is Kobbie Mainoo? We all sat here the other day on this channel and we said he's probably worth about, what, 80 to 100 mil? People buy potentially, you know, fucking Everton are trying to ask for 70 million quid for Brandflakes, sorry. You know, the market's absolutely crazy. We paid 85 million for Anthony. So 50 million for Yoro, just in my personal opinion, I don't think that's too bad. I don't think that's too bad. If you have watched him in depth and you've done your due diligence and you've seen the kid play, there is huge potential. Real Madrid don't look at, you know, players for no reason. They don't. There are no kids going for 50 million, mate. There's been plenty. Hendrick's just been bought. He's 16 years old. He cost 60 million pound. So that's nonsense. That is the price nowadays. John Omahone says, who does he play like? It's hard comparison, to be honest with you. He's better on the ball than Varane is. He's much more composed. He's not an aggressive. He's a little bit like Varane, I suppose. But he's much better on the ball. He's just well-rounded. He's much more of a modern defender from what I've seen. I don't get me wrong. I've not watched him week in, week out, but I've seen enough to know he looks like a very good kind of prodigy. And like I said, there's reason Real Madrid don't sniff around players for no reason, especially with the new kind of the new kind of what's the word I'm looking for? What's the word? They've gone with a different kind of process now when they're buying players. So instead of buying Galacticos, they've gone for a more kind of youthful approach. So signing Tchouaméni, Camavinga, Hendrick, Vinicius, Rodrigo, Mbappe, all phenomenal talents, by the way, but under a certain age profile, so like 24. That's the way Real Madrid are going. So someone like Yoro will fit in that category, absolutely. And players like Mbappe, who will know that guy probably inside out, because obviously he's played against him a couple of times, will be able to give advice on that as well and say, listen, this kid's the real deal. So, yeah. Thoughts on our links with Kirkez? I like him. I think if you're going to buy... I think that's one of them ones where, you know, even some people who watch football, like more kind of casual fans, probably won't be hugely aware of who he is. And I wasn't really until we played against Bournemouth, and I thought he had a really good game against us. Whether he's ready for that step up to United, I'm not sure. And then also, what would you do with the left backs? What would you do with Malacia and Shaw? How would you handle that? I don't know. I think it's a bit of a tricky one. Are you going to sell one of them? If so, then yeah, maybe, you know, you're going to get game time. But how do you sell it to a guy? You say, Kirkez, you join United, you're going to be the third left back. You know, if Malacia and Shaw are fit, it's a bit of a hard sell. So I don't know how they're going to deal with that left back situation. I do think it's, you know, fascinating in that sense. Right, let's move on to the other stories then, because we've got a few other little bits in terms of the transfer merry-go-round. So Galatasaray are interested in signing Anthony Martial on a free transfer, but he will have to drop his wage demands if the move is to happen. They're among a number of clubs to express interest, if anyone's interested in that. Jadon Sancho was not a priority transfer for Borussia Dortmund. They have a summer budget of 60 to 65, that's worse than us, 60 to 65 million pound, but will only ask United for another loan. Do you remember when they tweeted out, by the way, when they said, y'all must have forgot or something, and a picture of Sancho after his man of the match performance in like the quarters or whatever it was. So how are you putting stuff out like there and pushing the big one, and then when it gets to the table, you know, where's your nuts? Are you hiding them? Are they in your handbag? Like, what's the crack here? You were fronting it all with Jadon Sancho, and you was telling us, you know, he's back and blah, blah, blah. Well, if he is, well, put the money on the table and buy him. Innit? Pay the big bucks if you think he's back and you think he's all about it. Yeah, Sancho, take a wage cut. Dortmund, pay the big bills, and let's see where he's at then. If you know, put your money where your mouth is, effectively. We also have news. I think Romano confirmed this earlier on today. United confirmed talks are ongoing regarding new deals for both Johnny Evans and Tom Heaton. Again, not a news grabber, not a huge headline. The one for Evans is interesting because I remember when he first signed, some of the biggest personalities in this area, in this kind of space, in the football space, were absolutely slagging it off and saying, Johnny Evans, are you joking or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And maybe they had some right to in a certain sense because, you know, the guy hadn't had a club for about a year. He was looking for somewhere to train. We was like, fuck it, we'll just take the risk, you know, in case we need him. And my God, was that an understatement of the year? I think the guy's played like 30 games. Johnny Evans ended up playing 30 games and in some big, some massive games as well. And he actually performed well in some of them. Now, he's not someone you have a future in. The guy's 35 years old. He does pick up the odd injury every now and then. You can't necessarily play a high line with him, but when he does come in, you have to admit he's done a pretty good job for a 35-year-old who didn't have a club. He was one of the better signings out of all the ones that you think we signed. Mount hasn't worked so far. Onana had a shaky start. Rasmus has been good, but has been good in patches. Evans, when he's played, he's been pretty consistent. He's had the odd bad game, but I think he's been all right. So, look, would I be absolutely screaming from the hills and popping the champagne if Johnny Evans signed another year deal? No, but I wouldn't mind it. I think I always talk about prioritising certain things in the summer and how we've not got enough budget to spend on certain players. And I don't know how United are going to do it. Bringing in someone like that, especially having the season that we just had, isn't the worst idea in the world. People say about Tom Heaton as well, like, oh, we're new deal for Tom Heaton. But sometimes these guys just around the dressing room, he's not exactly on £3 million a week, is he? You know, he's probably taking up like an academy wage, like 30, 40k. That's a very expensive academy wage. But you take my point. Some of these guys are really important in the dressing room. And people like Johnny Evans, if you're going to lose out on some experience, which we are with, as much as people didn't like Martial, he's an experienced player. He's been at United for 9 years. He knows the club. Same with Rafael Varane. He's leaving. That's a lot of experience. It looks like Casemiro's going to be out of the door. So slowly but surely, you're actually losing a lot of leaders and you're actually losing a lot of experience. So these kind of guys, having them around, they're the kind of ones that you'll see behind the doors that will do more for like the young lads in the dressing room and guiding them properly. So absolutely, I'm not against that whatsoever. I don't mind it at all. I got it massively wrong on Evans. Very reliable, says John. Most of us all. You're not the only one. I think a lot of people did. And I don't blame them for having that view in the first place. But I think sometimes you have to give a guy flowers when it's due. You know what I mean? Johnny shouldn't be anywhere near first choice, should have retired. He shouldn't be near first choice, but if he's needed and he can be there and he puts in the performances like he has been doing, I don't care. They say if you're old enough, you're good enough. If he's 35 and he can still showcase the stuff that he's been doing this season, I don't mind having him on there. Not a problem at all. Thoughts on Greenwood? I'd sell him. Simple for me. 40, 50 million, sell him. Go spend it on Elise or go spend it on a striker, on Sesko or something like that, in my opinion. Right, moving on to the general news, a little bit away from transfers. I'll get into the Premier League Civil War in a moment for people who's asking about that. And also very nasally, so I apologise if it sounds a little bit... Voice sounds a little bit weird. My nose is so blocked from hay fever today, honestly. It's been horrendous. So I need a bit one of them, what are they called? The fucking Benadryl, is it? Where you like... sniff it up. Not that kind of stuff. I know what you guys are thinking of. I'm on about, fucking hell, what are they called? What are they called? When you've got hay fever, nasal spray. Jesus Christ, I don't know why I couldn't think of that. It's been a very long day. Been very, very busy. I need some of that stuff because my nose is going. Anyway, general news. I'll promise you I'll get onto this. Luke Shaw has boosted his hopes of being included in England's final 26-man squad for Euro 2024. His progress this week is viewed within the England camp as being significant. So he's turned it around. He's managed to get fit. Is he going to get injured again? If he has a good... Here's a question for you. Whilst we've got you late night dwellers that are in the chat. I know we don't usually do shows at this time, but it's something different. It's been mad busy all day. I've just got back literally probably about an hour ago, so this is why we've gone live, but we always have to put content out there for you lot. So yeah, here's a question for you. If Luke Shaw, and I asked this Sam the other day, if Luke Shaw has a good Euros, do you then risk next year going into next season, with him as your main left back, given the injuries that he's had? Or would you maybe consider putting the feelers out there to see if anyone will be interested in buying him? Because you look at his age, he's 28, 29. He's getting closer and closer towards that kind of 30 mark. Would you consider it? Yes or no? Let me know. Thank you for the follows as well. Everyone who's on TikTok. If you are on... if you're on YouTube right now, please do smash that like button for us, you legends, and hit the subscribe button as well. We're on 5,311 subs. So yeah, if anyone in TikTok, if you love football content and you like watching it every single day, we're live twice a day on Real Reds Talk, and we've got loads of lads on here, great bunch of lads, you know, different formats of content. People in the chat can tell you. Come and join us over. The link is in the description. You don't even have to subscribe. Just come and watch and see what you think and make that decision for yourselves. Richard, hello, mate. Nice to see you in the chat. Good to see you, mate, and good to see everyone else. Appreciate you, and you, Steph. Yeah, always love to see the regulars in the house. But yeah, the question about Luke Shaw. Samuel Mark Ingram says, sell Luke Shaw to Celtic. I think Celtic's a little bit below his level there, mate, but I take your point. He's a great player, but injuries have been too frequent. That's what I'm saying. What do you do if you go into next season and he picks up the same injuries that he's been getting all last season? It's just gone. You can't have a player like that. He's just never available. Yeah, he's quality, he's talented, he's one of the best left backs when he's on it. But he's never fucking fit. So what do you do? How can you go into a season relying on that? You have to kind of almost cross your fingers and hope. Touch wood, Luke Shaw don't get injured. Let's see what happens. And then if he does, you're like, right, okay, well, we've got a backup. No, we haven't, because he was on a milk carton missing for fucking a year in Malasia. So that whole left back situation is an absolute shit show. I don't know what they're going to do with that. I really don't. If we want to move forward, we can't rely on him, says Craig Lifts. That's what I agree. I have to agree. I know it's savage, but I have to agree. Booms is saying Shaw is turning into Phil Jones. He is. He is Phil Bones Jones, the legend. Richard is saying we need a left back. I love Shaw, but we can't rely on him. John saying yes, I consider selling him. Brilliant player, but out a lot every season. I think there's a conversation. I think there's a few difficult conversations we need to have, to be honest with you. Going into next season. And I really don't envy Ineos. I always say this, but I don't, man. I think it's the amount of stuff they've got to deal with. It's a nightmare scenario. But they knew what they was getting themselves into when they signed the dotted line and invested the money. So it's over to you now, Ineos. Let's see what you can do. And that kind of links in with the manager situation as well. This is going to be, it's quite a quick show tonight, but this is going to be the last thing I discuss. There was a lot of rumours floating about yesterday that it was going to happen today. It's Wednesday, so all them people, we keep receipts. We know who you are. All you people on Twitter who are saying it's definitely going to happen today. Turn on your notifications. People with crying emojis and all that kind of stuff. Is it? Not heard anything at all today. It's been, quiet as fuck. So that was absolute nonsense. However, Jamie Jackson from The Guardian has come out and said United's end of season review and the decision over Erik ten Hag's future will not go beyond this week. And Jamie Jackson is someone who's in the press conferences and asks questions and stuff. Relatively good links into the club. Isn't Romano or Ornstein, but he's relatively good, I would say. So I always said this at the start of the week. I think towards the end of this week is when it'll be done. Maybe Friday, Thursday, Friday. I think it'll be done, and then over the weekend people can kind of assess it. But I think he's gone. I think he's definitely gone. I'm more when I sit there and think of it now. I'm more thinking that who's the next guy to come in. So in my head, I already think Erik ten Hag's gone. I think he's going to be sacked. I think they're just waiting to pull the trigger. I think he's going to be gone. In my head, I'm thinking, who's it going to be? Because I've seen quite a few reliable people also putting out in tweets as well that it's not someone who's on the list necessarily. And the list that we've seen is Thomas Frank, Poch, Tuchel, and who else was on it? And Kieran McKenna. Obviously, Kieran McKenna staying at Ipswich. I don't get how you sell Thomas Frank. I really don't get that. Like, yeah, we've got rid of Erik ten Hag, who's just won his FA Cup, and we're bringing in drumroll Murta. Not Murta, he's not there. Drumroll Ashworth or Brada. Like, Thomas Frank. And everyone goes, what? What? Who? Like, you know what I mean? No disrespect to you, Thomas. You've done a great job at Brentford, but I think it's a hard sell. Is effectively what I'm saying. Tuchel, maybe there's a conversation there. Some people like him, but the longest he's ever been at a club is 2 years. So can you build long term with Tuchel? He always kicks off with players as well. How's that dynamic going to work? And then you go, right, well, who's not on the list? Who's been linked? Kind of Southgate. Euros. What if England get to the finals? Are you going to wait until the back end of July? When the pre-season's already been done to get your manager? That makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. De Zerbi? Will it be De Zerbi? I always felt like he had a job lined up at some point. I just don't know. I don't know. You talk to me, people, because I am just as confused as the average Bob, let me tell you. There's a club that has paid De Zerbi's release clause and was requested to sign an NDA. That is the Burger Factory. That's what I was going to say. I was going to mention before. I saw that. So maybe it is, but I don't know. Will De Zerbi work? I feel proper mad confused as a United fan at the minute. I think we had all this hope, and I'm not saying that I'm not saying the shitting it up the wall, but we all had, as a collective, all this hope with Ineos coming in that things were going to be more proactive, they were going to be more to the point, it was going to make the right decisions, and they've got the right people in. And yet we're still sat here, basically the 6th of June. The January window, the summer transfer window opens in about 8 days. We still don't know who the next manager is going to be. We've got targets currently that are being spoken to and taken off us, e.g., Arsenal with Sesko or Chelsea with Elise. Everton are wanting 70+ million for Branthwaite. It just seems like it's going down the shit pan again. Is it just me? I feel like I just feel like it's going down the shit pan again. But I could be proven wrong, and I'm happy to be proven wrong. Jay McGrogan, hello, brother. Saying, evening, Nick. Are you good? I'm good, thank you, mate. I hope you're well. Nice to see you in the chat, mate. I've read in quite a few places Tuchel is combative with the board. Here, not stopping long. Is that really what Ineos want? Exactly. No expectations, no disappointment. Stephanie with the quote of the day there. Can I pin comments? Because if I can, that's getting pinned. Let's have a look. Yeah, I'll pin that message. Steph with a comment of the day. If anyone wants to try and beat that, you're more than welcome to. No expectations, no disappointments. I think that's a philosophical view we can all take with United. Yeah. At least not going United. Not that he's not going. It's not got to anywhere near that stage at the moment, but Chelsea are trying to push the deal. And, Chelsea, when it comes to certain deals, you saw it with Lavia, you saw it with Casado. Liverpool know all too well. When they want to play us, they do relatively well to get him because they just chuck fucking everything at it, money-wise. The thing I don't get with Chelsea is they have so many attacking players. Where the fuck would you even play him? They've got Sterling, Mudryk, Cole Palmer, Madueke, Nkunku. Like, all these guys, where's he going to play? I just think it'd just be a guy who's added to the pile. And I also think with us, I said this to Sam in the afternoon show, so apologies for sounding like a broken record, but why would you buy table polish when you haven't even got a table? We need 2 centre-backs, a central defensive midfielder. If Casemiro leaves, we haven't even got one. And a striker. So Rasmus has got someone to compete with, and he's got someone who he can exchange with and swap with. Don't worry about a creative winger yet. We've got Sancho coming back. We've got Ahmad. We've got Garnacho. We've got Rashford. We've got other players as well. Palistri's probably coming back off. Do you know what I'm saying? That isn't a priority at the moment. Don't worry about that. I love Elise. I think he's a fantastic player. I really, really do. And if we had a couple of centre-backs in already, and then I will discuss it and I'd have a conversation about it, but I just don't think it's a priority at the moment. I really, really don't. And if you agree, or even if you don't agree, smash a like on the video. Ginger Viking, love the name. It's because they know United are desperate. Chelsea are going to be the next City. In terms of success, I don't think they will be. I think they made a stupid decision with Poch. Maybe the new coach will work out in the long term. I think he's done relatively well with Leicester, but they did have the highest wage bill in the Championship by a mile. So, I'm not saying that's an easy job to do, but I think anyone who Pep touches is considered the next, walk of Christ. So I'd be a little bit sceptical on that. I want to see how he gets on. I'm not saying he's a bad coach. I just want to see how he gets on in the Premier League first. And then you'll see if Chelsea have really made the right decision. So I put a poll up at the start. Obviously, the main story that we was talking about was Leny Yoro. And I put, would Yoro be your number one target at centre-back? 68% said yes, and 32% said no. So for the 32% who said no, if you are still in the chat, let me know who your number one centre-back target would be and why you would sign him. Not just this guy. Let me know why, or how do you think he would fit into United. Another plug as well. Sorry, I probably pecked people's head with this, but just to get it out there whilst we've got people in the chat, I put out a members video, which I know a lot of you have watched, and I had some feedback already, so I really appreciate that. We put a members video out about the 115 charges with Man City and all that kind of nonsense that's ongoing at the moment, and there's quite a bit of depth of information in that and what's going on and what the charges are and all that kind of stuff. So if that is your kind of shtick or something that you want to watch, check it out if you're a member. If you're not a member, click the join button next to the notification bell or the link in the description, I think it is, if you want to become a Real Red Ultra and get that little Real Red Top badge next to your name, and also get exclusive content as well. Sorry, that's the last plug I'll do, I promise. Surely City the old Chelsea, not the other way around. That's what I was thinking, Booms. Not in success, but just buying players just because they can. Ah, right, I'm with you. I'm with you. Yeah. Well, that kind of the last thing that I wanted to discuss was that kind of falls into the whole situation with the Premier League at the moment, because there's this civil war. I say civil war. It's more Chelsea. I think Chelsea, Newcastle, Villa, and City. So there's 4 teams in the Premier League that are kind of backing City in a sense of saying like, oh, we should be able to fund, from other areas into the squad or pump money from certain areas. And that's the whole argument that City are putting forward. But it's like, well, when you sign the dotted line, the rules are the rules. You knew them. Don't try to tweak them now because they're going against you and you've broke the rules. We've already covered that though, so I don't want to go too much into that. But then you've got other clubs like Aston Villa. So Aston Villa, I think, have billionaire owners, like very, very rich owners. But obviously they can only put a certain amount of money in because of FFP and stuff. Likewise with Newcastle. Newcastle have Saudi owners. They're state-owned. So they're pushing that narrative as well, saying, oh, we should be able to do this. And they want to do what City did when they first came in. And now they can't do that. So City had that advantage in that sense. So obviously the City are pushing back against this. They're throwing all the lawyers and the money at it that they possibly can. And the kind of reverberations that you're going to see and repercussions you're going to see through the league, especially if the Premier League lose this kind of public battle, it would be a nightmare. And I actually think they have, there is a huge potential for this to go really wrong. For a league that's the best league in the world right now, it's attracting all the players. Like we're kind of blessed in that sense. If you're from the UK, that the Premier League genuinely is the best league on the planet. Like, it's not even a conversation. But when things like this start happening and people start undermining you and people start pushing certain narratives again, and then it breaks out into a whole kind of war, like it looks like it's on the kind of cusp of doing, it gets messy. It gets messy. And Richard says it perfectly. If the Premier League lose this, football is fucked. It really could be. But likewise, if Man City get relegated, which I mentioned this in a members video, imagine how much that would then open up the league for competition. I think it would just really would, because City just won 4 in a row in the league. It's turning into Bayern Munich in the German league. And Arsenal were almost perfect and still didn't win the league. So, you had Liverpool in that season when City won it, where I think they lost 1 game and still didn't win the league. Like what is going on? It's crazy. Jay saying, I hope the talk of that stupid European Super League thing doesn't resurface, for fuck's sake. Yeah, me and you both. I was at the protest at United when all that shit was going off. And yeah, I remember that even like all the fans coming together, it weren't just United fans. It was like, everyone was on the same page to get that overturned. So I can't be arsed with any of that nonsense coming back round. Yeah, I agree, 100%. A lot of smart people in the comments today. Love to see that. Thank you for the follow, everyone. Just a quick thing. All the socials, if you're on YouTube, are at the top there. Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter. If you're on any of them, come and drop us a follow. Drop us a message. We always chat back to you on there as well. If you have any kind of anything you want to discuss, we're always open. Or the DMs are always open, so you're more than welcome to drop us a message. Please do smash a like on the video. On 5,312 subscribers. We're trying to hit 5,500 as quick as we can, and we can do that with help of people in TikTok currently, or anyone who's in the chat right now. The community, you know what? Honestly, the community that's developing on this channel is mint. I love it. And mints are very, like, Mancunian kind of word to use. But it is. It's really, really nice. I like seeing the same names in there. I like having conversations. Because it's like having discussions with your mates at the pub, innit? You know what I mean? Everyone's got different opinions, but that's what football's about. You see a lot of these... I'm not going to name which ones, but you see a lot of these fan channels who push certain narratives, and they have certain agendas, and they'll always just, like... and they'll always, like... Almost, like, poison... people's minds. Sorry, I'm going off on a bit of a tangent here, but they'll just poison people's minds to think that, oh, you have your own opinions, but in reality, everyone's just kind of following me and everything that I say. But now you don't want that. You want diverse in football. You want different opinions. I want different supporters of different teams throwing shit at me and saying, like, actually, no, you do this, United is shit. Well, have it. That's what football's about, isn't it? Opinions and conversations. Otherwise, what's the point of fucking being here? Can you see City getting relegated, mate? Well, if the charges go against them, 100%. Everton and Forest had 2-3 charges, and they got, what, a 6-point deduction, and then reduced or whatever. Man City have 115. 115. and some of them are repeated charges. So some are like 35 inaccurate financial details. Some of them are just not complying with the Premier League in general. Some of them are breaching UEFA's rules a couple of times. Like, they're all different to each other. So it's messy. Very, very messy. And I think that's going to be ongoing for a while. Who would be your top centre-back target, Nick? Good question, Jay. Who would be my top centre-back target? I feel like it changes every week because obviously I do different videos on this channel. We do some like different scouting ones, and sometimes I'll just watch a player and fall in love and be like, oh, he could be good. But my target has always been Todibo, I think. Not because he's the best player out of the lot, but I think, one, it's the most realistic. Plays for Nice. Very good price tag. Young, French, adaptable. Good in 1v1 duels. Can push out wide, and play it right back when Dalot drops into midfield. Very tactically inept. Like, is inept the right word? I don't know. I'm going to go with it anyway. I think he's good. I like him. The only thing that would concern me with Todibo is he's not great in the air and he's not fantastic at the kind of the old school defender stuff. So whether he would complement Lissandro in that sense, I don't know. But I do like Todibo. I do. Nah, man, you, Sam, Shreyas, engage with us, mate. And Chivy, and Aaron, and Adam. I mean, some of them aren't on the channel nowhere near as much as they used to be, but it's still nice having him on. And that's what we want to keep. I don't just want it to be just me on shows talking to the camera or talking to you guys. I like having different people on because people connect with different people. So not everyone's going to like me. Someone will come to this chat now and think, who's this fucking idiot talking nonsense? Or someone could come into the chat when Adam's on and be like, Irish, feel that connection. Chivy's on, the lads from India. It's diverse is what I'm saying. So, like, it's just nice having that. Yeah. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying, to be honest with you, but we feel you listen, love the channel. Thank you, John. Appreciate that. YJJ says, will the board back the manager? No, I think he's gone. Channel is mint, says Steph. Complete opposite of Luther Vandross. Okay. Luther Vandross. Little bit need. I'm going to listen to that in the bath. I'm going to have a bath after this show. I'm going to put that on. Gotta be. What a tune that is. Gotta be. Well. Matters to get that axe. What have I just seen there? Is that James Maddison? Oh, wow. David Ornstein's just reported James Maddison has been left out of Gareth Southgate's final squad for the European Championship in Germany. Oh, Madders. I think if you would have said that for the first half of the season, that would have been crazy, wouldn't it? Because he was absolutely flying in the first 6 months. Obviously got that injury and then shit changed. But that's mad. Abibe Deliso, United, I want to Thomas Tuchel and Elise João Felix, Todibo, Benzema, Antonio Silva and Yoro. So, let me get this right, Abibe. You want Tuchel, okay. That's all right. You want Elise, so that's 60 million. João Felix, probably about 70 million. Todibo, 40 million. Benzema, astronomical wages. Antonio Silva, 80 million. And Yoro, 50 million. Very expensive summer, my friend. But I love the passion. Southgate never fancied Madders, quality player. I like him. I think he's unreal. Oh, he's a top player, man. Truth saying I want a creative player like Elise. I do, but it's not a priority, mate. It's not a priority for me. Last 5 minutes, guy. I'll just do anything you want to talk about. So this is your 5 minutes. Anything you want to throw in there, any topics, any random questions. Don't even have to be football-based because I've been doing and editing stuff on football all day. I'm talking for like 10 hours straight. So my brain's just... That's why when someone mentioned Luther Vandross or whatever it was, I was thinking, yes, bubble bath with that on. Probably let you in on a bit more than what I should do there, but oh well. Benjamin Sesko, I like him. Top player. Rate Mount. I like Mason Mount, but if I had to rate his time at United, you'd have to say it's just a flop, innit? Because he's not even played. You know what I mean? Who's Yoro? Leny Yoro, centre-back for Lille. Sooner or later, the board are going to have to put more time and patience than 2 years into a manager, whoever that may be. It's a bigger job I've seen needed in my 35 years. It is crazy, isn't it, Jay? Honestly, they've got so much to do. So much stuff to do. Steph saying Dross is a mank expression for very poor. Will it be used when I was young? I'm not sure how old you are, Steph, but I'm mank. I don't think I've ever used that. So it must be a bit of a 80s or 90s thing. 'Cause I was born in 95, so maybe it was before that. Garassi for me. Yes, Richard. I think I've seen you mention him before. I think that could be a good shout. He's a good age profile. Doing well in the German league. Why are we so slow? You tell me, Norris. I'd love to fucking know. I would love to know. Ashley Flitch saying, I want us to sign Todibo. It'd be a great addition to our team. I'm with you on that, Ashley. I like Todibo. I was talking about him before, yeah. I think he's good. Well, it's a risk. It's a gamble with any of the signings, to be honest. Tomo mentions Branthwaite there, but Branthwaite, Everton are asking for 70 million quid. I'm sorry. Not a fucking chance am I paying 70. Well, I'm not paying it. It's not out of my bank, obviously, because I have got nowhere near. I don't even got £7 in my bank at the moment. But 70 million is a lot. It's a lot. Most United scouts shouldn't have a job either. They've been so poor. I actually don't think it's the scouts. I think it's their recommendations have been ignored for years. If you've read into it, I don't actually think it's the scouts. They've suggested some good players, but they've always been rejected. Now I know what you mean. I used to say dross for something bad and boring. If that's a Mancunian expression, I legit, I don't think I've ever heard that. Yeah, I was actually speaking to someone the other day, and he was like, "You're from Manchester." What? You're from? I was like, I'm pretty sure I've got a strong Mancunian accent to the majority of people, but there was a surprise that was from Manchester. I was like, okay, I don't know what accent you're hearing. Please, can you confirm Eric New stay or leave? Well, no one can confirm. I don't have any kind of insight into that. But if you want my opinion, I think it's gone. I think it's gone, 100%. I would be astonished if they announced it now. Because why wouldn't they announce it already? It just makes no sense. The young Portuguese and French talent, say under 24 right now, is unreal if you look around Europe. Yeah, they've got depth for years in it. France's third team will compete in the major stages at Euros. Honestly. I saw France taking Kante as well. How mad is that? We could do with a Kante. I tell you what, if I was to bring back a player in time and put him next to Kobe Mainu, it'd be a Kante or a Makalele or someone like that. That's the kind of player that we need. I think. Just in my opinion. Because he's got a contract. I feel like I say that all the time. I need to stop saying it, in my opinion. Because he's got a contract, they don't need to announce if he stays, only if he leaves. From what I've read, Ten Hag's in Ibiza at the minute. Living his best life, so... Yeah. I do think... One thing I will say to you is, though, that I legit believe, and from people that I've spoken to and had deep conversations with, towards the back end of this week, is when it's going to be done. So take that for whatever you will. I don't know what manager's going to come in. I personally am not going to enjoy it because I like Ten Hag. I think he deserves a chance. But I think Ineos have already made their mind up effectively. Who's your choice if Eric gets binned? If he has to go, like I said, I would stick with him. If he has to go, to be honest, I don't like a lot of the list. I don't think... I mean, like, for example, I really like Unai Emery as a coach. I think he's fantastic, but we can never pull him out of Villa. Honestly, out of the options... Oh, God. I don't want to sit on the fence with this, so I'll give you an answer. Out of the options, I'd probably go... I like Tuchel, but if it's out of Tuchel or Poch, in terms of what Ineos need and what would be better working with younger talent, I think Poch would be a better fit in that sense. But I prefer Tuchel. Does that make sense? I don't know. I feel like it's kind of counterproductive there, but you take my point. We need a keynote to stop the likes of Pogba dancing and Martial strolling. Nick, what about this link with Juventus and Gelson Bremer? So Bremer has a release clause in his contract for around £55 million, I think it is. Bremer won Defender of the Year with Torino, I think in like 2021, which is why Juventus bought him. And he's been pretty solid for them. In duels, aerial ability, physicality, them kind of areas of the pitch and just pure defending, he's really, really good. More modern defending, he's not great at. So whether he would suit the Premier League and Man United, like, for example, there's a lot of teams that high press in the Prem, and if you're not great on the ball, you can be exposed. That would be a concern with Bremer for me coming to the league. But apart from that, if you're talking about a pure defender, he's top. So maybe in that sense, when you've got Lissandro alongside you, it's not as bad. Because obviously he's elite. He's one of the best in Europe at progressing the ball. So, yeah. That's my opinion on that. Anyway. Right, I'll leave it at that because I've gone on longer than I thought I would. But there's so many lovely people in the chat that are getting involved. So, yeah. My Damned United, hello. Hope you're good, brother. Feels like pain incoming. Yeah, towards the back end of the week. Friday, I would say. Or over the weekend. Steph saying 14 likes. Yeah, there is 14 likes. There's been quite a few views in the chat. So if you're yet to do that, then I would really appreciate it if you can. If you're watching this later on, do get in the comments and let us know your thoughts on the stories that we've been through. Done a bit of a Q&A for the last 10 minutes, which I always love doing anyway and prefer doing sometimes, just because it's a lot more interactive. I will still be live tomorrow in the next, 12 hours or something? I think it is at 12 o'clock. I'll be live again. I'm sure there'll be lots of news around the manager and stuff, so do come and join us. Check out the members video if you haven't seen it already. Check us out on socials, and I'll see you guys in the next one, yeah? Enjoy the rest of your night. Go and have a bath. Enjoy your kit. Enjoy work, whatever it is. No one enjoys work, what I'm talking about. See you later.